You're listening to the Staging Sips podcast with Lori Fisher. This podcast is dedicated to helping real estate staging CEOs build healthy businesses that grow, flow, and thrive. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, I am so happy to be with you doing it. Whether it's washing dishes or taking a walk, I'm glad to be with you. Anyway, today we're talking about how to be ridiculously easy to work with. And this topic has probably been a year in the making. I had a conversation last year with one of my Accelerate students, and she had just heard a presentation about how to be ridiculously easy to work with. And she felt frustrated by it and kind of like it was the wrong message, because the speaker left the kind of impression that you should, jump as high as the client wants, be available 24/7, things like that, have no boundaries. And thank goodness my student had been with me long enough that she understood that that was like a recipe for disaster, like a total recipe for burnout, resenting your business, your team resenting you, creating like client zillas who have expectations that you're always going to be available, that you're always going to be able to jump tomorrow. And I wanted to make sure that you know that too. And we at my company are ridiculously easy to work with. And I wanted to share with you how we are, because we have boundaries. We don't answer the phone 24/7. We don't answer text messages 24/7. Certainly there are exceptions, and we'll talk about that too, that we'll make for certain people, but that is not the norm, and they know it. But I want to share with you how we are ridiculously easy to work with so that you could potentially implement some of these ideas into your own business. So first, I want to start by reading a review and giving a testimonial. So the first is a beautiful review left by Kate Elise of Kate Elise Interiors. And thank you so much, Kate, for this really kind review that you left. Kate writes, "Wish I had discovered this amazing podcast sooner, but so happy I finally did. Thank you so much, Lori, for sharing all of this great information. I'm sure my business will benefit and grow when I put into practice your amazing advice." Well, Kate, I know you will. I know you're going to do great, amazing things. I started following you over on Instagram, and I'm so happy that you're part of our community. Finally. That's fantastic. And I want to say this to everybody. I know there's so much in this podcast. I share tons with you. And don't feel like you have to try or implement everything I recommend. Just like today will have some ideas for you. And what I want you to know is if you take one or two small nuggets and you just dive into those, and, if it helps you get unstuck in something you're stuck with, that is so much more valuable than trying to implement all kinds of things that I talk about in this episode. You have to remember, I've been in business for a decade at this point, and that means that I have a decade's worth of information that I am sharing with you. And it happened and it evolved in stages and all of that. So Rome wasn't built in a day, neither was Rethink Home Interiors. So I just want you to be compassionate with yourself if you feel like, gosh, I wish I could implement more of this stuff. No, you'll do it in your own time, and it will be amazing when you do that. And on that note, as an extension of that, I want to just give you a testimonial and a shout out. I just want to say to you, whether you show up here every week or once a month or on occasion, but every time you show up for yourself in a place like the Staging Sips podcast, or whether you are like a student in my Accelerate program, or you are reading books in other people's training programs and other masterminds, I just want to say hats off to you for growing yourself, growing your skill sets, working on your mindset, whatever it is that you are showing up for. Like, that is amazing. Like, it's like showing up to the mat to exercise. Like, that's a commitment, and that is something that not everybody does. So the fact that you are doing it, I'm just so happy for you, and I'm so proud of the work that you are doing and putting out into the world. And I want you to keep going, even when you're frustrated. Sometimes that means you may need to show up here more, consume more, find the little pearl of wisdom that you need to get you unstuck, and just keep going. So get out there. You have a gift. You are amazing. and I'm here for you, cheering you on. And I just wanted you to know that today. So my love bombing for the week. All right. So go out there and just keep doing amazing things. All right. So let's get into how to be ridiculously easy to work with. All right. So coming off the heels of our keep in touch episodes, I really wanted to talk about this because when you are doing your keep in touch core four, right, you're meeting people, telling them what you do, you're staying in touch, and you're making offers to help, no matter what that looks like. You're showing up in contribution and value. You are understanding that you're creating your habits before you're creating results. You're, finding ways, unique ways to be in front of humans, in person, online, all that. When all of that experimentation and effort starts to show the results, I want to make sure that you are prepared, your business is prepared for clients to come and have a really nice way to work with you, right? A nice, easy way to work with you. And this will be an evolution for you too. What I'm sharing with you today has taken me some time to get to in my own business, but I'm hoping to accelerate that process for you. But we want to make it as easy as possible for people to work with you because people like to work with businesses that are easy to work with. And when I say easy to work with, I don't mean people pleasing. I don't mean uber flexibility. I don't mean working with urgency. If you are feeling like you have to bend over backwards every time for every client, I encourage you to go back to the earliest episodes that we have on grounded communication, client filters, and boundaries and boundary alignment and all of that. Because at Rethink Home Interiors, we're super easy to work with, and we've got client filters, we've got boundaries, we have grounded communication. We don't operate from a sense of scarcity and urgency and that everything is an emergency. And I have told the story many times about my one employee wanting to leave because at one point I did work this way because I thought that was easy for the clients. But I have come to learn that if you provide simplicity and predictability, that is so powerful for your clients, way more powerful for your clients even than all of the people pleasing you will be doing. Because at some point, like I said, that will lead to burnout and resentment on your part, and that will come through to your clients eventually. I think I fired several clients at a certain point because I had trained them that I would people please. I would be super flexible. I would always have a sense of urgency. And I had to fire them because once I decided to implement boundaries, they were confused, they were frustrated, and I was no longer going to honor all of the requests that they had. So I want you to avoid all of that because just like everything in this podcast, I literally made all these mistakes so that you don't have to. So, all right. So what do I mean by simplicity and predictability? Well, first of all, let me just give you a little background and just say that from a neuroscience perspective, and a primitive primal brain perspective, we know that our human brains love predictability and certainty. We love to be able to kind of know what's going to happen in the future or be able to predict it with relative accuracy and things like that. We feel much less stressed. We feel safer when we have certainty. And this is really very simple to do in our businesses. It just takes sitting down and making some time to do this. And it's strategic. And when you do the work, this is really systems work is what I'm really talking about. And we have lots of episodes about it. I believe episodes 21, 26, and 28, but we'll link them in the show notes. When you do this work of simplifying your processes and being predictable, it helps you, it helps your clients, it helps your team immensely. And that because everybody knows what's going to happen, it really makes for a much more enjoyable business experience for everybody. And I always think about the time that when I first worked or moved to this area that I'm in right now outside of Philadelphia. I am from New England. We like to make sure, use our things to their fullest. I'm from the land of LL Bean, where they give a lifetime warranty on your things. And most people for many years, never really returned their things. We just did our best to keep like repairing them. Like, it's just kind of funny. It's a mentality. But an LL Bean, for any of you who are not in the States, if you're not familiar, Google it. It's an outdoor company. But anyway, I moved to this area and I had shoes that I wanted to have repaired. And there was a shoe repair store locally that I wanted to patronize. And so there, first of all, was not a website. So I didn't have the ability to know what the hours were. There was no Google business listing. The answering machine, there was none. So the phone didn't get answered. So you couldn't find out what the hours were. So I had to go to see when the hours were. And they were like 8 to 4. But literally probably 9 times out of 10 that I went to either go drop off shoes or pick up shoes, he was closed. During those hours, there would be a sign that said out for lunch, back in 10, which probably meant he didn't even come in that day. So as much as I wanted to patronize this business because it was close and there are very few shoe repair places near me, I couldn't end up working with him. I had to travel much further for that service. And it was because he was not simple or predictable to work with, right? And then I love to share the story of when my sister and I had both graduated from college. My parents bought us each a ticket to Paris. Now, we were Gen Xers, so we had to pay for the rest. They basically were like, here's a trip. Okay, now figure out how you're going to pay for everything while you're there for a week, where you're going to stay, and what you're going to do. And we did. We made the most of it. We did everything, all the baguettes, croissants, crepes you could possibly want. But toward the end of that week, I was just kind of craving a taste of home. And I'm embarrassed to say it, but I was craving a McDonald's cheeseburger. So we found a McDonald's and we went and had a cheeseburger that literally tasted just like the cheeseburger we had at the McDonald's from our tiny little town in New Hampshire 1,000 times before. It was unbelievable. It was predictable. It was comfortable. It was so great. I would have been so disappointed if it didn't taste the same. So those are 2 great examples of how predictability can make it really difficult, or lack of predictability can make it really difficult to work with you, or conversely, predictability making it super easy to work with you. And because our clients tend to be repeat clients, we want to make it as easy as possible for them to not only refer us to their colleagues, but also their clients. So in the case of our realtors, we want them to be able to sell our staging services very, very easily. And the more that they know how easy it is to work with us, the more they will refer us. So whether you work with an investor client, realtor client, builder, long-term rental, Airbnb, short-term rental, whatever level of rental, if they are likely to be repeat clients, we want to make our processes as simple as possible. So let's talk about the way that Rethink Home Interiors does this in our business. So we have a few things. And I'll describe what we do for these. So we have a consistency in the way that we schedule, the way payments are made. We have a consistency to our start times for our appointments, our output. So our deliverables are very consistent. Our timelines and workflows are very consistent, as is our fee structure. So let me kind of delve into and give you some specific real world examples of this. So from the perspective of scheduling and payment, for our styling evaluation or our consultation or walk and talk service, whatever that looks like for you, what we used to do was the client would have to call us or email us, and then my admin or me in the beginning would have to look at the calendar, find a mutually exclusive 3 to 4 time slots, days that might work. And they were all very different, right? So it could be 9 a.m. on a Monday, or it could be 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, or it could be 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. And then the realtor would be the go-between us and their client and their seller. And then they'd come back to say, none of those times work for the seller. And I'm sure we've all experienced things like this, like whether it's scheduling a dental appointment or a doctor's appointment or a hairdresser's appointment, and maybe we're scheduling it for our partner or our children. But either way, we become the middle person, or our parents, or, a loved one, a friend. We become the go-between, and it's really not the most efficient thing to do. And in particular, our real estate clients, our investor clients, our realtor clients, they're all busy. They're all managing a lot of details. So if we can make this easier, the better it is for everybody. So I think I talk about this in one of those episodes I had alluded to, 21, 26, or 28, how to do this. But basically, in essence, what we did was we took the realtor out of being the middle person, and we gave the client direct access to the scheduling calendar. So essentially, we created a system where the realtor, if they're going to pay, they can pay us, and then that automatically they pay us, and then they give us the email address of their client, and we send them our calendar we use Acuity for that. We send them our Acuity calendar. All of that's actually automated. So when you simplify your processes and you create predictability, then you can start to automate them. There are ways that you can do that. So that's what we did. And the tools that we used to create that whole process, just so that you know, we have a landing page, which we created in Lead Pages. But if I were to do it today, every single one of the CRM programs like Aweber, Flowdesk, MailChimp, they all have landing pages. That's what takes like our booking link, which is Rethink Home Interiors /eval. Go ahead and take a look at what that landing page looks like. And then when they click the button, that they're the choice that fits them the best, that takes them to either our Stripe payment platform, or it takes them right to our Acuity calendar. And so you can go ahead and feel free to take a look and see what that looks like on your end. But basically what happens is the realtor simply gets to pay and give us the client's name and email address, and then we handle everything else. And then from that, all of our reminders that go out to the client are automated. We get to send them documents in the welcome, all the welcome emails and the welcome sequence all happens automatically right from there. So that is one way that we have made it super simple for our clients to schedule and book with us. The next thing is consistent start times. So we have consistent start times. Again, I'm going to continue with the example of our styling evaluation process. But our realtor clients specifically know that our appointments always start at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Those are our standard times. Now, certainly there are times that we need to make an exception, and that is okay, but they know in general those are our start times. We have a consistent output. So our consistent output is our selling success plan. And we have it as a company standard that those plans go out within 48 business hours of the appointment. So our realtor clients know that. That's a competitive advantage. We have realtor clients that have come to us because their staging professionals were not turning around their written deliverable in a timely manner. Now, we all know that many clients don't necessarily need that report, but if you're promising it, you want to make sure that your output and your deliverable is predictable when it's going to arrive. It makes us all accountable. Consistent timelines. Now this and workflow. So this is really, I think, a bigger thing for those of you who are doing vacant staging and occupied staging. One of the things that we did and implemented that helped us immensely in our vacant staging and our occupied staging process was we identified the trigger for when an appointment would start getting booked and when installation would happen. So here's what we did. So what we learned was that people always wanted to know, when can you install? And we were like, I was like, I don't know. We'll have to look at our schedule and blah, blah, blah. I'm not totally sure. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way to, one, make people understand that it's not going to happen tomorrow. So, and people will ask that when they're new to you. But I need a way to communicate it so that people understand and have an expectation of when this works and a timeline that works for our team calendar, especially in our busy season, since we do consultation business as well as vacant, right? So that was the problem I was solving for at that time. So what I ended up doing was saying that from the time the client agreement gets signed, no matter who's signing it, from the time that we receive that and payment in full, it is 7 to 10 business days to the installation date. And we will notify you once we have those two things wrapped up. So we communicate that to the client, and then we communicate it when the client agreement goes out. There's verbiage about that. And a credit card authorization form has to be filled out at the time of signing the client agreement, and we charge it at that time. So we are responsible for charging the credit card. We don't take payment in any other way. Well, we don't. I was going to say we take ACH. We don't. Credit card for that. Because we can control that. And once the payment processes and we are confident that that is processed, then we move forward, and it is a 7 to 10 day timeline. Now, some people will say, yeah, but once a realtor has an agreement or an investor wants to get on the market, they want to get off the market really quickly because, there's a clock ticking for them. Absolutely. But we also know that our staging sells houses super, super fast, right? Like ridiculously fast. So there is not the lost time that most people are perceiving, and you can communicate that to people. But if you don't have consistent timelines, people never know what to expect. So they may not call you until they're ready to have staging done at the end of the week. The other thing with our investor clients that we had to get really savvy at saying to them is that you don't schedule us to come in until after your cleaners have come in. So we're communicating to them, one, that they should have cleaners come in, but two, that we are the last people in before photos. So if they're adjusting the time of the cleaner, they have to adjust us as well. So that's like just one other thing. But so we want to make sure that we are streamlining that and making it as simple as possible for us too, because it's hard for us if we don't know that and we don't have that information and we think, oh, we can probably do it. We can probably do it in, 3 days from now. But, you may not have access to your team calendar. You may be doing guesswork, or your sale. If you have somebody who's doing sales for you, they may not be privy to that all the time, right? So it's just clearest if everybody knows. Your admin can speak to that when a client calls and asks that question of them. Everybody knows that's the policy for us. So that's how we've made it super easy. And then consistent fee structure. We've always made it really simple to work with us. So once we did enough volume of work and we saw that there was a pattern to the pricing, we started to just simplify our pricing. So in your case, if you're doing a vacant staging and you're starting to notice, oh, okay, most of the houses that are kind of this floor plan, because in a lot of our areas, we all have similar floor planned houses. We know that we've charged X amount in general for those. And so likelihood is it's going to be whatever it is, 5,500, 7,500, 10,500, whatever that number looks like for you. The simpler you can make that for your clients, the better as well, because then they can, not that you ever want your client speaking to your pricing, but at least they'll have a better sense of what it is likely to cost or what that range is. Okay. Now, in the beginning, you're going to be experimenting with all of this, right? Seeing what works for you. It may not feel simple and easy. That's okay. Your whole job in getting new clients in the beginning is to learn and to grow and to try things and find out they don't work. Those are just things that we have used. So it's going to, if you want to work on creating some of this consistency and predictability, it's going to require you to sit down and have some thinking time. So if you're not making time to work on your business, I want you to start thinking about creating predictability even in that. When are days that you typically could work on your business? And I want you to be prepared that your brain is going to get confused when you sit down to try to figure out how to, maybe make it consistent, a scheduling process that's easy, or a payment process, or a client onboarding process that's easy and simple. Your brain may not want to commit. It may want to be confused. It may want to, throw up all kinds of objections to you. And we know, like I say it in like so many episodes, that's normal. Your brain is going to do that. You need to sit with that, let it clear itself, and not indulge in that And I want you to know there are no wrong decisions, right? It's like you're going to try something. Maybe you'll try something I've just said here and you'll find it doesn't work for you and your business. And that's okay. You're going to make the decision. You're going to do the experimentation. You're going to evaluate and you're going to reevaluate and readjust as needed. You just want to have your own back and be like, okay, I'm making this decision. Maybe it's not going to work, or maybe it'll be a mess in the beginning, but then we'll figure it out and we'll get it going. You just want to know that there's not a wrong decision you're going to make about this. And you may lose clients like I did, but I will tell you what, I thrive today with the easiest clients on the face of the planet because none of them have been trained by me to not be a great client, right? Like I had done in those earlier days. I have really amazing people that we work with every single day in this business. So last thing is I wanted to tell you, yes, occasionally there will be exceptions. As you put processes into place, there will be exceptions. There will be the client that reaches out to ask for an emergency appointment or something like that. The biggest thing is that you want to do is you want to know that you're about to make an exception and have a good reason for it. For us, we make exceptions for our repeat clients. We'll make it for them, but we will let them know and remind them that we are making an exception because we want to reinforce that we do have a process, that we do have a standard, and that this is going above and beyond to provide value that's out of the norm. So we've had recently, I'm not sure if it's because of the market, our realtors have had, appointments further away from us than they typically do. And, we'll just say, yeah, that's not our typical service. Doing business with you and your clients. So we're absolutely willing to go there for you. We won't charge you extra for this. If it's going to be, a regular, we may have to, add a travel fee, but right now you will just do it at the regular rate. Like we say those things to them. So they get it and they understand. So again, you will have times that you may make exceptions, but these are the ways that I have found to be ridiculously easy to work with is by creating systems and processes that are simple for people to understand once they know, they have known you. And it really engenders a lot of trust and a lot of faith and a lot of goodwill. And it helps your referrals exponentially. So go out, find some place in your business that you can make ridiculously easy to work with you that doesn't involve compromising your time, your values, your sanity. And I will see you next time on the episode on the SIPs. Have a wicked good week. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Staging Sips podcast. If you love what you've learned here today, please take a minute to rate and review it so more staging business owners can find us. And if you want to learn more about how to market and grow your staging business more strategically, I'd love to see you join us inside of the Rethink You Accelerate mentorship program. It is open enrollment. You can get more details at rethinkhomeinteriors.com/rethinkyou. Would love to see you inside.